It's interesting to hear you speak about that, Eric, because you guys have enormous international reach with a lot of artists. I mean, you mentioned already the act that you dealt with out of Sweden, who's, I mean, that's like a fantastic artist development story. So, I mean, are all those artists available to work with Coca-Cola as well?
Yeah, sure. And it's, I mean, it's really nice because when we did the Olympic anthem, they needed a Russian artist. They needed a local Russian artist with a nice story behind him. So we could go into our database, we type Russia, and then we look at the different artists, and we can look into them and see a little bit about their background, what we're doing in Indonesia, what we do, you know, every day around the world. Sweden is a hotbed of just beautiful talent, and it's because of the government support of the arts there that all of our artists from Sweden and Norway are coming out so skilled that they could not only just write great songs, but they're great for scoring. So they help us with a lot of custom pieces and scoring to video games or whatever it might be. But the other thing that it does, besides when somebody needs, you know, Viasat, we're a large provider of music to, it's a television network in Northern Europe, and they need artists only from those territories. So we're able, as a global brand, to help fulfill those needs. But also for our artists, we have artists from all over the world right now writing the Disney songs that would be sung for the holiday parade. So, you know, we are able to blast out and get the best talent in the world working on these projects, and then 200 kids will walk down the Disney aisles and around the theme park singing these songs. But it doesn't limit us to, you know, just American creative or, you know, artists in New York. It really gives us a broad reach around the world.
On that topic, are you able to place a lot of your international clients within American films, TV, or commercials? Is that something that's becoming more viable over years?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, there's trends within music, but even this morning, right before I was able to go give that talk, I was getting requests that they needed French pop music for a fashion show, for a fashion brand here in the States. So they are requesting more and more. They want the accent, they want something a little sexy, a little cool, a little different, and it's nice that we're able to provide that just as easily as we would be able to provide, you know, a band here in LA.
Precisely, and I would think that the you know, as you're answering this, I'm thinking the next question I want to ask you is really more about the expansiveness of the independent artist community, which you obviously deal with a lot of. In your experience, especially, you know, coming from a background in advertising with Leo Burnett, who's one of the largest advertisers, do you find in your experience today that the advertising world specifically is more open to a wider variety of independent artists today than they were perhaps maybe 8-9 years ago in terms of their campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 8-9 years ago they started opening up for price reasons and for budget reasons alone. But today they see the value in using an independent artist. And they also, there's all these studies coming out that it really doesn't do a brand any good to use a famous song necessarily, because that same song is used all over by multiple different brands, or top celebrity personalities they're in every single commercial you turn on. So there's never something that makes people stop and turn to the television and look like, oh, what song is that? Whereas an independent artist, brands can become a filtered, trusted form of discovery. And people start relying on these brands to filter music. And it's kids these days have access to all the music they could ever want, but it's not necessarily a good thing. It's almost too much, and they don't know where to turn to discover music. So they're actually relying on television shows. True Blood has always been famous for that. One of the last songs, or the last song in the television show, people wait for that. And that's the discussion that's happening outside of the show itself, is I wonder what Gary Calamar is going to put in this episode of True Blood. And that's a discussion on its own, and the same things are happening with brands. So they're very open and excited about using independent artists, and we see more brands opening up to it, not just in the U.S., but around the world. And what's exciting is the budgets are coming back, and they're still wanting to focus on independent artists. So independent artists are getting, you know, paid more and more for the use of their songs now.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that, because, you know, a few people today have talked about not only the value of the sync in terms of getting the artist on a TV show, but have spoken about it like you did about the Swedish Act in terms of the development process that it helped in terms of the career. That I thought was a really interesting point too, that you brought up with regards to how that helped the Swedish band really expand their career beyond just the commercial itself.
Yeah, there was a nice story recently in Sweden, actually, with this company Viasat. They launched a new film channel via film, and it was movies. And to promote it, they used one of our artists. There was no words. It was just a very heartfelt, nice, long commercial, and it focused on one of our artist songs. And it became so popular, and the chatter online, the discussion online, was all about who's the band in that commercial. So we started focusing more on that band with Viasat. They started putting them in more promos. They asked if they could put that song up for downloads, so they paid considerable money, and they got 150,000 downloads in the first 10 days, which would have been remarkable anywhere in the world, but especially in a small place like Sweden. And then they had the band perform, and this was all because of the success. It just kept on building. They had the band perform at the launch event for the film channel, and that band then, because of that launch event, went on a European tour. Because of that European tour, they went over last year and played South by Southwest. They'll be over again playing South by Southwest. So it is amazing to see how things snowball. It takes a good management team. It's like anything. If you get a little bit going, you really need somebody to concentrate on it and work and represent the band properly to put a good plan in action. But it is amazing to see the opportunities that are coming from small sync licenses these days.
Hi, my name is PJ Bloom, Music Supervisor, and you are watching MUBUTV Music Business Television.
Eric, you're also the co-author of the book Hit Brands: How Music Builds Value for the World's Smartest Brands. And I'm curious, what was the evolution of that? How did you become involved in writing that book?
It was based on the fact that I got access, I think unprecedented access, to some of the world's largest brands. And they were coming to us with struggles that they had reaching their demographic, reaching consumers, the fact that it was harder to advertise than ever and have captive customers like they used to, and that they saw music as being a way to help them create a tighter brand loyalty and advocacy with their consumers. Music being the top passion point, the top universal passion point that exists, and being able to kind of hone in on that and create unique experiences through music. So it started with the fact that we created a marketing theory called social empowerment, and it was helping brands become part of the consumer's everyday life beyond the product. So it really starts with focusing in on the passion point of the consumer, the people that you're trying to sell product to, and really seeing how you could amplify that passion or enhance that experience. So that the consumer is relying on you talking about you as a brand and not necessarily about your product, but you have a loyalty there, music being the easiest and best route in. And because of that, we started talking to more brands, seeing their issues, and then seeing really brands who are getting it right and doing amazing things, like Coca-Cola, like Converse. It's incredible the experiences that brands are providing to fans of music these days. And it's not just music, it's in health, it's in gaming, it's in sports, it's in fashion, but music is what we really focused on. So I got together with a couple other of the colleagues in the industry and who are doing great things with brands in different areas, and kind of honed in on the science behind it, what music does to a body when they're listening, and how brands are able to kind of control that messaging a little bit to enhance a musical experience. So we had enough data together that we started putting a book together very naturally, not much thought behind it, and MacMillan jumped and said this is something that we'd love to put out as a textbook and really get in the hands of marketers and university and master classes and marketing classes. And so it was just a very natural progress, something that we were doing every single day anyway, and it just made sense to write it down.
To put it into a textbook.
Yeah.
My final question to you is, we started this interview with you talking about when you formed your company, and obviously the music business and the media business, shall we say, has gone through a radical revolution. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, from your perspective, having seen that, where is it that you see the music world and, I guess, brands going into the future? Do you see a tighter connection? Do you see more evolution or development in other areas? Or
I really think this is the greatest time that's ever existed to be a musician of any stature, just starting to famous. I think it's the best time to be a brand. You're able to reach and interact and engage your consumers in much more interesting ways. because of the same technologies that actually destroyed the industry originally, providing you access to your consumers. And it's the best time to be a fan because you're getting more meaningful connections to the music. You're getting more meaningful, personalized musical experiences. You're getting music when you want it, where you want it, how you want it, as fast as you want it, as much as you want. And there's an opportunity for brands to kind of filter that and take control of that and own that. And record labels aren't really investing in artist development. And if a brand wants to be seen and be part of somebody's life beyond the product, they have to be committed to investing in talent. And they have to be committed to investing in artists and developing those artists and making sure that there's always a fresh flow of good artists to make sure that the fans are reliant on the brand. So I think it's a great place to be. Every day technology emerges that makes the musical experience and interaction and engagement even more meaningful and more exciting. So I don't know necessarily what the future will hold with the technology, but I know it's getting better every single day. And it's an exciting time to be in.
Yes, it is. Eric, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
As do I. Thank you.